If you like this video, please consider supporting the Oto Kano channel over on Patreon. Thank you! In this episode, we are taking a close look at the Zoisite Genuine by Daniel Smith. Zoisite the mineral can come in a wide range of colors, from colorless to blue, violet, green, brown, pink, yellow or grey. The mineral was described by Abraham Gottlob Werner in 1805 and named it after the man who sent him specimens of it, a naturalist named Sigmund Zois. A particular variety of zoisite is the well-known gemstone tanzanite. Zoisite Genuine the paint is one of the most granulating colors I've tried from Daniel Smith so far. It is almost black with a green undertone. I want to point out that the color chart you get from Daniel Smith online shows zoisite as much more green than it is in real life. The paint is really more of a black with a hint of green undertone, if you squint at it, kind of level of green. It has no sparkle or shimmer. It is easy to re-wet and get lovely saturated colors from. Daniel Smith's website says, "You must try zoisite to appreciate its unique color and characteristics." Zoisite, a mineral from Austria discovered in 1804, is a lush primal green with a dark, almost black bottle green granulating surface. With minimal paint to water, the effect is grey-green with a micro-dotted surface. With maximum paint to water, the surface fractures to a full leather look with a distinctive three-dimensional effect. Play with the ratios and be fascinated by the amounts of interest zoisite can add to your painting. It is a series 4 color, excellent in light fastness, semi-transparent, low staining and granulating. Welcome back, the paints have dried and this is Zoisite Genuine. As you can see, it is an incredibly heavily granulating color. There's just granulation happening everywhere on this paper, and this is just a cold press paper, not a hot press paper. It is a good middle black color with not a lot of undertones happening. As it's a black color, it has a wide range of values from surprisingly black through to nice grays and then very pale gray. It's so granulating that it will even granulate on a hot press paper. What's interesting though is it didn't granulate that much on the rough, so I don't know if I didn't do the wash as well as I did with the others, but this is definitely something to watch out for with the texture of your paper. It is a very easy color to create gradated washes with. You cannot cauliflower this color at all, so slap away with brushes loaded with water and you won't run into any problems. In terms of opacity, it is classified as semi-transparent, and I would agree with that. Because it's black on black, it's quite hard to see, but when you tilt it at an angle, I can definitely see unevenness of the texture of the black, which means there is deposit above the black line. This color is classified as low staining, and I would agree with that. It's very, very easy to lift this color because it's mostly just granulation. The downside to having great lifting ability is that it's a little bit of a nightmare to do glazing with, and I definitely wouldn't recommend this color to do glazing with. It will lift up so easily that you will not get a smooth second layer down with this color, so I would use it as a one-shot wonder rather than a layering kind of color. If you like to see high-res scans of this so you can get really into the details of this test sheet and every other test sheet I do for my videos, then head on over to patreon.com/Oto Kano. That's where I put up high-res scans for all my videos. In terms of gauzing, it gauzes very well because it's a granulating color. It leaves very little amount of color for the background. The background is just a very pale gray. In terms of salt and water, you're not going to get much reaction out of them because it's so heavily granulating. Even if it was doing something, it's going to get lost in all that granulation. So I wouldn't recommend using these techniques on Zoisite. Let's take a look at how Zoisite mixes with other colors, and these are the 12 colors I mixed Zoisite with, and this is the result. Not very surprising because it's just a heavily granulating black particles in the paint. It doesn't do much in terms of adjusting the hue of the color. Yellow paint stays yellow, pink paint stays pink, and green paint stays green. All it does is add a little bit of gray to it and then a heavy amount of granulation. As you can see, just granulation everywhere. So if you are looking for more of a medicinal paint where you can use to heavily granulate a color into black, then this is a useful color, but I would also admit that that's a very niche use of this color. So you might not be using it quite so much. I would imagine that it will get used in similar ways to Lunar Black, because Lunar Black is also a heavily granulating black color, but this color is definitely for the big granulation fans. But if you are still a little bit uncomfortable with granulation, then this is definitely not the color to go for. Let's compare Zoisite with other colors, and the first obvious choice will be the Lunar Black because it shares these characteristics of being a black granulating color. Interestingly, when you come to compare Zoisite with Lunar Black next to each other, you do notice a more of a green undertone to the Zoisite, whereas you see a more red undertone to the Lunar Black. So if you are a big fan of Lunar Black but wanted something that had a more blue-green undertone than the Lunar Black, then this is your ideal color, because I would say that the two colors behave quite similar to each other. In terms of other blacks though, there's not many that come close to Zoisite. Perylene Green is too green. Holbein's Shadow Green, which is Perylene Green by Holbein, is again too green. I pulled up the Holbein's black colors, Ivory Black, Peach Black, and Lamp Black, none of which granulates. Then I pulled up some Sennelier colors with the Sennelier Grey, Lamp Black, Ivory Black, Neutral Tint, and Payne's Grey, none of which again are granulating. Then I pulled up Daniel Smith's Bloodstone Genuine, which I would say matches in granulation, but this is clearly a much more warmer black. And finally, I pulled up Daniel Smith's Graphite Grey, and I would argue that out of all the colors that I tested on this sheet, certainly, this is the closest one in hue, but again, Graphite Grey has a more red undertone, whereas the Zoisite has a green undertone. One thing that is interesting when you're looking at all these black colors is that most of them have a red undertone. So if you are looking for a black that has a green undertone instead, and you like the granulation, then the Zoisite Genuine is a great bet. So that was the Zoisite Genuine by Daniel Smith. It has a lot of character to it. It's black, it's heavily granulating, and it will just granulate any other color that it touches. I do really enjoy granulation, like how Ultramarine Blue granulates, but this is something else in terms of granulation, and it's a little bit too granulating for my personal liking, so I would pass on this color, but I will definitely bear this color in mind if and when I need a heavily granulating dark color. So what did you think of this color? Would you like to give this color a try? Please do let me know in the comments down below. If you are a big fan of Zoisite and this is a color that you can't live without on your palette, then please do let us know how you like to use this color. So this is the final episode of this series of the Primatek range. Thank you so much for sticking with this series through 18 episodes. This is by far the longest season I've ever created, and we've had so much fun in the comment section talking about each color and how everyone likes to use each color, and I learned so much from you guys. So thank you so much for all your contributions and sharing your knowledge. Of course, we are not done with the Primatek range. There are 17 more Primatek colors, mostly in the browns and neutrals, which is why I picked the first 18 for this series, because I thought this would be the more bright and interesting one to try first. I hope this series was of some value to you. I make these series because I find it really confusing to try and decide whether I should buy a color or not from little printed squares of color charts or just from their website screens. And I hope that in some small ways that these series help you to decide whether you'd like to buy a color or not with more confidence. I hope you guys also had great fun seeing all these wonderful, beautiful colors. Do let me know in the comments down below which one was your favorite color from this series. I'm blabbering on now because I'm like, oh no, this series is finishing. And this series have been a huge part of my life for the last few months. So thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. I really appreciated how you guys showed up to every episode. You guys are wonderful and I love you guys to bits. Okay, really going now. Thank you so much and I will see you in the next video. Bye!